Well, for her perspective on the news and issues you've heard so far, I'm joined now in the studio by journalist, political affairs commentator and Arise News analyst, Dr. Constance Ikokwu. Good to see you. Happy New Year.
Good to see you too, Ngozi.
And
Happy New Year.
You're looking like a new year.
Oh, thank you very much.
And you know what a new year looks like? It comes with a lot of hope and beauty and color.
I know, you look fantastic yourself, so it makes the two of us.
Thank you, thank you. Now, let's start with that rather troubling piece of news we received earlier in the day, but thankfully we just, heard from the Ipman president that there's no such plan to increase the pump price of petrol. But I did ask him, based on the World Bank projection, saying that, look, the realistic price based on market forces will be over 800 naira, per liter at the pump price. So that means it may not be Uhuru yet as far as the pump price of petrol is concerned. But what do you make of all of this?
Well, the Deepen president also said it, that not yet. There's no increase yet.
Need to underscore that.
Exactly. He emphatically said that. And it's good that we got him to this interview because at least for the time being, he made a confirmation that there isn't any increase yet. And this topic has generated a lot of concern, considerable attention, all over the country. And the reason why this is so is that it affects every single thing, in the country. I mean, from the cost of your food to your take-home pay, it has substantial impact in a way that we did not envisage when everyone was shouting, remove subsidy, remove subsidy. And then when you remove it and you unpack it, everything starts falling apart and you see how deep every dot is connected to the other one. And so the World Bank people saying that it should be over 800 and things should be left to the market prices. I think this is a very dicey situation for us in Nigeria. It is a developing country with high levels of poverty. If it goes over 800 or even 800 and then to 1,000 and to 1,200, it will deepen the unpopularity of this government, number one. And then number two, it will also deepen the grossly unequal system that we already have. The bottom of the ladder people will be pushed down for the the bottom, and it will affect social stability and a lot of other things. So the government really has to think out of the box, and that is why when you hear people saying that there is partial subsidy, and then the NNPC is saying no, we're only covering the cost of importation. We don't know what is true, but they say there is no partial subsidy. But even if there is, I do not think there should be shame about reinstating some subsidy, but say that you are doing that. Because every country in the world has some form of subsidy to help its citizens. It might not be petrol, it could be food. The farmers
in the US,
yes, the farmers in the US, in the West, substantially, the government gives them subsidies in order to make food largely available to people at very low cost, because you want to be able to feed your population, right? And then there are all sorts of things. So it's your economy. It's your country. You understand the level where you are. You should think about, what do I need to do to help the population to survive? So these are discussions that we'll keep having.
Do you think, Dr. Constance Ikokwu, that subsidy, whether the retention of it or the removal of it, has become a socio-economic and political, issue, especially political?
It is a political issue. At the same time, it is economic. I mean, I think the reason why it became political is that people question how much we really spend on that subsidy. Are we really subsidizing, or is it fraud that is going on? I think you will hear the argument that subsidy is not bad in itself, but when money is being pilfered in the name of subsidy, in the name of helping the people, that there's something fundamentally wrong with the government, and we should address that. So that's why some people have said, okay, reinstate it, but whoever is stealing from the country in the name of subsidizing, they should be caught, and that system should be cleaned out, and then those people should go to jail.
That seems to be where the problem is, because we've heard from Mr. President that, look, the whole subsidy regime has only favored a few, cabal, and you wonder, you would think that the next statement that you'll hear after the president says that is, look, we have, apprehended them, we know who they are, they've been arrested, they have been questioned, they've been investigated to determine exactly to what extent they have stolen from Nigeria. I mean, when you hear reports that in 2022 alone, Nigeria actually spent $10 billion, read my lips, $1 billion on subsidy.
It's not only on subsidy.
It went into somebody's pockets.
It's in the country generally. You heard when the National Security Advisor said to everyone that we have an empty treasury because the last government did a lot of things that they were not supposed to do. So we are struggling to find some revenue to fund the government. So the next question will be, are they going to jail? So when you set up a committee, I also remember the CBN committee that was set up, headed by one Obaze, to to investigate the Central Bank of Nigeria and all the illegalities that went on during the last administration. Exactly. So tell me, who is going to jail? If you're retrieving money from people, because we hear behind the back that some people have gone to return some money and negotiated. In the US, for instance, you negotiate, you go to jail, there is a plea bargain, but you still go to jail for some time, as a consequence. So can you tell us how much is being returned? Can you tell us who is involved? Can you tell us what is actually going on? People need to pay for whatever fraudulent or criminal actions that they have taken in a country. I think when you do that, then it shows that you're a serious country.
Absolutely. And still on the issue of subsidy, because, I mean, look, this was removed since May 29, 2023. And this is how many months after? About 7 months. Would it be fair to ask this government and say, look, how much have we saved from the subsidy removal? Where have you deployed the saved funds to?
It is a fair question. If you say that you have saved some money, how much is it? You are accountable to the people. You ask for the seat, and then you're answerable to people. So definitely we should know what is going on. I mean, you also talk about the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, for instance. They always tell us that we have gone after so and so person and we have recovered so and so money, but you never hear where that money goes into. So these are issues that shows that it's a broken system, is an inefficient system, and we cannot continue like this. And that is why I think generally citizens have no faith in government and they have no pity. So I go, for instance, to the president's speech, the New Year speech. He talked about Nigerians, we have to work together. This job is not only for the governors, the ministers, the president, and the legislature. The citizens themselves have a responsibility. I completely agree, and I think you would agree at the same time.
What role should even the citizens be playing?
Yes, so
what would be the citizens' responsibility in the whole picture?
So I think a lot of times the citizens are actually sleeping, and that is why government officials are able to get away with so many things. If you look at the African traditional system, where the government is us, the government is not Abuja. The government is not your capital city where where the governor stays. The government is us back then. So that means that we come together, we discuss, and we take actions on the issues that concern us. So it means that you don't abdicate your own responsibility. You don't relegate your duties and obligations to the government, and you don't even look at their corner, what they are doing. So they get away with so many things. So when you become involved and say, I am the government, there will be a dynamic shift, a fundamental shift in the way that you see the workings of government, and in the way that you go and say, you know what, this cannot happen anymore.
But can you ask those questions? Can you make those strong positions in a situation where it seems that poverty has been so weaponized that the people's spirit, is broken somewhat, that they can't even see their way through in a way that they can begin to ask the right questions and make the right demands on government?
That's a very good assertion, and that's a very fantastic conversation to have, actually, because when you weaponize poverty, when you push your people further down into poverty, it makes them completely helpless and unable to have a voice. They become very desperate. They're in a situation where everyone is trying to survive the rat race, and so they are able to even have the mental space to think and the mental space to fight and to say, you know what, this belongs to me and I will fight for it. So it takes us back to economy. Some of the things that the government needs to do this year. You have to have a vibrant economy. You need to foster prosperity. Prosperity frees the people to work, to play, and to think. You know, because you need people to think and to move the economy forward. So that's one of the goals that we should be gunning for this year.
Can that prosperity really happen, or it will not be a pipe dream or a mirage if this huge, humongous country remains the way it is, structure-wise? Can we begin to, you know, regionalize governance? Can prosperity begin to come from those, you know, the local governments, the states, and what have you, the regions?
We have talked...
is that not the practical thing to do at this time?
We have talked a lot of times about the structure of the Nigerian state, where, you know, the center is the all-powerful. And I remember that President Tinubu himself, when he was, you know, much younger, he was one of those that literally didn't believe in Nigeria as it is currently constituted. He doesn't talk about it anymore.
I wonder why.
He doesn't. Once they get into power, that conversation dies a natural death.
I wonder why, because the previous government before his was also mute on that issue.
Exactly. And once you do not tackle or address that particular issue or structure, I mean, I think that we're just running in circles. But having said that, I would quickly add that we also need to pay attention to the government level, the state governors. There's a lot of focus on the central, but the state governors also take home a substantial money, or, you know, a fund, you know, from the center. So when you travel to the states and you look around, there isn't much happening. Some states, yes, are doing well. A lot of states are not doing well. So is anybody asking the question, what are you doing with our funds? And then you go to the local government level, they're even non-existent. Nothing happens there. So again, we are the government, so we have to wake up and decide that we are the ones to. So for instance,
we have to decide what we want.
Yeah, exactly. So I traveled recently, and I was discussing with local people, and anything you say, they say government, everything government. No. Take back your power.
Right.
The power lies with you.
There you go. Well, some Nigerians, unfortunately, have been trying to empower themselves in rather disturbing ways in terms of getting a qualification in order to belong in society. Talking about the scandal, you know, that broke just yesterday about people getting degrees within months across the borders in Benin, in Togo, and now the Nigerian University Commission, the NUC, has banned some foreign universities, 5 from the US, 6 from the UK, 3 from Ghana, and this has raised a number of questions.
This kind of story actually, it contributes to the battering of our already battered image. And it's tragic on all fronts. I remember when President Olusegun Obasanjo came into power, he did so much for Nigeria, traveling and trying to clean up our public image so that we can sit at the table with other countries, and so that there will be investment, and so that when Nigerians go abroad, they will be treated with dignity. He achieved a lot on that front. Now we've rolled back so many years backward to where we were, even worse than 1999 or 1998. It's a problem. And I think Nigerians need to understand that criminality is not the way. Having said that, there's also the issue of emphasis on paper certificate. Not everybody will be a graduate. Not everybody is an intellectual. Not everybody has the capabilities for books, you know, being book smart and all of that. It doesn't mean that they are unintelligent, it doesn't mean that they cannot do anything else. You know, people have all sorts of talents and gifts. You know, you can work with your hands, you can do all, but because of the way that the economy has been over the years, it's difficult. Everybody needs a certificate in order to move forward. So again, it is something that the government needs to think about, really, how to expand the economy in such a way that not everyone will become a graduate. When you listen to some graduates, you wonder what school did you pass through?
You had to go there. You had to go there. But let me quickly bring this in. The NUC is a regulator, and it says, look, it did not license, you know, some of these universities, and so they should be banned. What exactly were they doing? What were they? Did they have to wait until this scandal?
Exactly. So it also shows the weaknesses and failures of government. So if they have been sitting there and have been unable to do their job, can someone be fired? Sorry, I say that all the time, but yes, you need to actually fire people when they do not do their jobs. You know, I think then it makes everybody to sit up. You know, when you go to a lot of government agencies, it's the same story. We have to do better for ourselves as a country. We can do better. So I think this issue really doesn't paint us in good light at all.
It doesn't. We can do better. I'll
take that. And then having said that, also there are so many Nigerians across the world doing great things, fantastic, brilliant, spectacular human beings. You know, look at you, Ngozi. You're doing great things.
Trying.
Trying.
Considering.
Thank
you so much.
You're welcome.
You yourself, doctor. I hope to be a doctor sometime.
Good luck.
Dr. Constance Ikokwu. But I'm not going to go grab a 6
Don't grab, please. Go do your research, because now they're giving PhDs without research.
Oh my.
Yes, that's a problem. Minister of Education, they're giving PhDs without research. What kind of PhD candidate are you? Please, we're killing the country.
Well, that's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Do join us again tomorrow from me, Ngozi Alibu, and the entire team. See you again.